During the solar eclipse, I decided to stay home with my dog. However, when the eclipse began, my dog's behavior became strange and unsettling. She cowered in the corner of the room and started barking as if she saw someone there. I felt a shiver inside me. She had never behaved like this before. Soon, she started whimpering and tried to pull me towards the exit. Something strange was happening with my dog. My heart raced, and I decided to follow her lead. I stepped out of the house, holding my dog by the collar, and saw a dark figure moving in the kitchen window. And then, the lights in the house turned on and off. I was filled with horror. Who was inside? Who turned on the lights? Was it a ghost? When the eclipse ended, I decided to go back into the house to figure out what was happening. I entered the kitchen and froze in terror. There, on the table, lay the watch that belonged to my deceased friend. He died 2 years ago in an accident in which I survived. Those were the same watches he wore at the time of the accident. I had always blamed myself for that accident, as I was the one driving. It was a message from my friend. I am sure of it. He wanted to remind me of my guilt for his death. Perhaps my friend had come to seek revenge. Thanks to my dog, she saved my life. Maybe the spirit of my friend would have taken me to the afterlife. Since then, I no longer stay at home during eclipses. At N. The day when the solar eclipse happened became a nightmare for me. When the moon covered the sun, darkness fell. I am afraid of the dark, and I was very scared to be alone at home during this event. I locked the doors, but suddenly I heard knocking on the door. My heart stopped. I approached and, gripping the handle, cautiously opened the door. In front of me stood my father. His eyes were white, empty, and lifeless. I was shocked and paralyzed with fear. My father silently entered the house and sat on a chair. He said, "I have returned to you." I was stunned. My father died exactly a year ago. He was in a car accident. But I couldn't attend his funeral. I felt guilty about it all the time. "I want to tell you how I died," he said, his voice sounding hoarse. "On the day I left this world, I was in a car accident. My soul remained suspended between life and death. I was a prisoner because of you. You didn't come to my funeral. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My father became angrier and angrier. You must come with me," he continued, his eyes gleaming in the darkness. "You must now be with me." I didn't know what to do. I was very scared. My father became more aggressive. I realized I was talking to a ghost. I stood still and didn't move. He stared at me intently. Finally, the sunlight appeared and the eclipse ended. My father dissolved and disappeared. This day turned out to be a trial for me that I will never forget. I decided to go to the cemetery and honor my father's memory so that he would never come from the afterlife again. This story happened on a day when a solar eclipse occurred. This day is etched in my memory as the most terrifying in my life. It all started when I was home alone on that day. I had never before felt fear of supernatural forces, but this day completely changed my attitude towards them. When the moon completely blocked the sun, my apartment became dark. I felt that something unusual was happening around me. I tried to turn on the flashlight, but my phone was turned off. And then I realized that all the electronic devices were not working. The first signs of the supernatural manifested when I heard rustling in the hallway. I approached the door, opened it, but saw no one. I had candles, so I lit them to make it less scary. I noticed black shadows on the walls of the house. but I thought they were just shadows from the candle. Suddenly, the furniture started moving on its own. Chairs creaked, and books fell off the shelves. I realized that something inexplicable was happening in this house. I was in a state of panic, sitting still and unable to move. My heart was pounding when I heard whispers in the darkness. They sounded like incomprehensible words. I turned my head, and suddenly, a clear figure of a woman appeared before me. She was pale, and her eyes were white, as if she had lost her soul. She slowly approached me, and I couldn't move out of fear. Suddenly, everything stopped. I was very lucky. The sun illuminated my apartment again, and the ghost disappeared. I told my husband about it, but he didn't believe me. He said it was just my imagination. But I know it's true, and the supernatural world exists.